Our goal today is Buford. We're leaving this little anchorage just south of Charleston and Wapoo Creek Bridge. But we are heading for another anchorage near Buford. Our maps today are showing us about 7-hour trip, which our arrival time would be around 5:30, which is sunset. Thankfully, Becky had picked out an anchorage that we've been to on our North Passage last time. So the good thing is we're familiar with the anchorage up here, and so we're gonna try to press on and try to get to this one. It's gonna be a really long day for us, but we'll get there. All right, we'll see you then. Just going through our checks, our pre-departure checks. We're checking the oil again. I changed oil while we were here. The big storm that came through, high gust, 20-25 mile per hour winds. But it was that cold snap that ran across all the United States. The girls are outside. I don't know if you can see them through the window. Becky. But we are getting ready to leave, going through all of our checks. We've already fired the engine. I'm just letting it drain down through the motor right now just to make sure I get an accurate reading on the dipstick. Talked to some other captains. They're leaving out today as well. Ideally, we would have liked to have traveled with them, but we're not going to impose ourselves on them. So, you know, we let them know a number of different times that we were leaving at such and such time. But the one captain's actually waiting on more parts. He was planning on leaving this morning. That way he could make that cut down there at Hell's Gate. But, yep. We'll see you guys after we get underway. She'll swing every way but the way I need it to, huh?
That's the way it always goes.
Alright guys, here we go. We just passed Hell's Gate. We were super anxious about going through it. A little worried, apprehensive, and but we got through it fine. We had a big barge coming through, so we backed off and gave him time to get through. But we got in it, depths were fine, current was fine. We didn't have to really throttle up and push through real hard, but wasn't a big deal. I think as long as you time it right and the tide is right and the current's right, it's pretty much a non-issue, but I'm sure it can get pretty bad. we're showing pretty shallow depths, but it went fine. And figured it'd be a good time to show you guys the sound that's on the other side of Hell's Gate heading south. As you can see, I'm all bundled up. This is my heat, and I keep her covered up, and then I wrap up. Kind of seems to do the trick for now, but temperature definitely drops off at night, like bad. Frost on the hatches, and we get up in the morning when the sun starts to melt the frost, then we take a chamois and just kind of dry stuff up, and or else it'll condensate. But yep, well on our way to the next anchorage, moving south. We actually had a conversation today, like we were almost gonna go to the outside, but late start, trying to time Hell's Gate at the proper time, so we can kind of reevaluate tonight when we sit down and look at our next plan, just to see where we land up. But weather's right, the seas are right. It's like 1 to 2 foot seas at about, I don't know, 6 to 8 seconds apart, so I think it was doable. We have a nice westerly wind, so the wind would have been coming across our beams, but 3 to 5 knots of wind, so it really wouldn't be pushing us very fast. So we'd end up motoring all along the outside with the sails up too. So either way, we're getting closer to going to the outside. We're really wanting to start to make some time as this cold is starting to take a bite out of our asses. So, but yeah. So talk to you guys later. Alright guys, here we go. We did our normal routine, picked 3 anchorages in case one fell through, and you got 2 other options. Look, sun's going down. We blew through all 3 of those anchorages. We made a few crucial errors in our planning, and I didn't look at this anchorage at all on the ride down here, but crab pots. Georgia, it's Georgia, so we knew there was going to be a bunch of crab pots everywhere, but the first anchorage just wasn't suitable. Second one had 3 and 4 foot reported depths, and but in the other area that we thought we had an option to anchor, nope, crab pots. So now we're traveling another hour south, trying to beat the sundown, trying to get this. Oh, look at that, beautiful. But yeah, trying to beat the sundown. Well, here we are again in another anchorage. I don't know, I don't think we're making mistakes. I think we might be overanalyzing in some situations. This situation, did we get lucky, unlucky? I don't know. I don't know. I know there's a lot of superstitious sailors out there, and you know, are we being guided? Well, we don't know, but all I'm getting at is there's so much to sailing. Like, I don't think YouTube videos cover it all. I think you can get a general knowledge. You can watch all the videos you want, but until you're out here living it, videos and pictures just don't do justice. But so we anchored here because we were coming to a section called Mud River, right, Becky?
Little Mud River, yeah.
Little Mud River, notoriously famous for shallows and shoaling, and so we got here, picked it up on the navigation, on the Navionics. We try to read the waterway guide every night, but there's so much information, guys. There's so much. NOAA charts, windy apps, Navionics, Aqua maps. It just goes on and on and on. So no matter how prepared you are for this, it's I don't know. I still feel like we're anxious and we're not exactly prepared, but I think we're as prepared as we can be. So I don't know. But anyway, we got to this anchorage it's the only anchorage you can stage from Mud River. It's like the last one. But the problem is it's right on a sound. So maybe a mile away from here is open inlet. And so if you get wind coming in from the east and the current's going out, it's not a good situation. You know, you're taking big swells on the stern of the boat, and it's not good. Very noisy night last night into today. You know, the boat's pulling the right way now, the way we're set. I went out and checked the bridle a little bit earlier, and stretched right out like it's supposed to be. We've got about 100 foot of chain because the tidal swing here is like 7 to 9 feet depending on the weather. The problem is when we got here, there's crab pots or shrimp pots right in this anchorage. So we made the decision because there was a storm bearing down on us, wind gusts of up to 30 mile an hour. I felt like they were stronger than that last night and today. But we get here, there's crab pots in the anchorage, but we're out of options. We got nowhere to go. We can't go back north. The wind's bearing down on us, so we anchor here, you know. And so I don't think the crabbers like it. They kind of they don't like it. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do in that situation? So, but either way, because of where we're anchored, we're right next to the coastline, and there's not much protection from the wind, the weather, but we woke up this morning and found that we had to stay here another day because today that storm and wind system kind of fell into today also. So kind of stuck here, just hunkering down. Is that a word, hunkering?
Mm-hmm.
Kids?
Yeah.
Is hunkering a word?
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We're going to stay here till tomorrow, but we can't pass Mud River until high tide. So tide starts to drop at 7 a.m., which we don't have sunlight. So we've got to time it just right. And it ends up dropping to low tide at about 11 or noon. So we've just got a real small window where we can pass through there. And today's weather didn't allow for it. Probably 30 mile an hour gusts again today, but big outside running a generator. There's the open water, the inlet. You can see tide's really low. If you look really close, right there's a crab pot, I'm sure. Yeah, ducked right in here. Wind is severe. Try to keep you guys updated.